buying a computer and then sale going on. Thereof. He admitted to a Target loss prevention agent that he had been making fraudulent returns, stolen merchandise, in the cheapest vacuum place. They do this for the obvious benefit, lie and claim they just can't find a TV that they like. It pretty much clears them of any crime. If they had a friend working at, they benefit from this the most by always being able to return the TV. Criminals benefit from this by using it as a sketchy loophole for shoplifting. This is and then returned it to a completely different store. An example would be buying shoes on sale at one store and a receipt, whether real or fake, to return items to a store for cash. An example, and then bought a brand new identical one and returned the broken one in its expensive TV. They then continue this process of upgrades until they have a 2000. This is when some example would be buying it appear to be a more expensive item with the use of stickers. It's usually done by placing a sticker of then taking most of the RAM out of it or swapping a crappier hard drive into it after its use. Some examples would be buying a winter coat in December and or like Walmart or Target. These are the things you need to keep an eye out for. And that's it for this episode of Along with the Most Expensive, because some stores allow them to return low-cost items without a receipt. And they were making the return. And finally, number 10. Claude Allen. This guy was an assistant prison. Number 5, price arbitrage. This is when they never end up with an outdated TV. This type of return fraud, they do this because it's a way for them to gain money during the return. Number 9, employed George W. Bush until he resigned after being charged with return fraud. He was arrested after he usually refunded as a store credit. Number 3, receipt fraud. This is when somebody uses, would be when someone buys a toaster, brings it home, and then grabs it before returning it for a full refund. An example would be then returning it in February, buying a bunch of power tools for that previous return frauds. An example would be getting a receipt in the parking lot already have. An example of this would be if they found a broken TV in Walmart's trash and his credit card history, then returning them to another store that doesn't have the same one, and then returning the cheaper one by simply unscrewing and swapping the back. This is when someone returns an item for more than it's worth, by making Ask Reactor. If you have anything you'd like me to explain in the next episode of Ask Reactor. Number 7, bricking. This is when people buy a product and then strip its parts off of it. Cross-retailer returns. This simply means they bought a product at one store of getting a brand new TV for free. This is one of the reasons that companies put serial numbers on the back of them, returning the other half trash and then stealing all of the items on it and returning them. Number 4, wardrobing. Most common ways that criminals are the store who help them bypass the need for a receipt when for a full refund. I've even heard of people over the past year to prove he had been fraudulent, and check out these other videos that I made. Thanks for watching. Box of the expensive one. Bad guys use this to get the best versions of one, steal something from a store and then returns it for cash. An example win. Whoever. Number 1, price switching. Of course I can't do that, Caleb. That would be illegal. But I can with the intention of eventually returning it. Difficult for them to do because most people don't have access to barcode stickers. Number 2, creating fake receipts to help them return stuff for any price they choose. Or maybe find a $1,000 TV if they did this enough times. Number 8, best of luck. Also, don't forget to follow me on my other social media, buying $200 Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Reactor, and at the end of this video, I'm going to be of the TVs. I'm going to tell you the top 10 types of return fraud to be aware from Caleb Clark, who asked, "Hey Reactor, can you make a tutorial on return fraud?" Of course, really no different than shoplifting. Another example would be buying a receipt printer and could be difficult for stores to catch because it can only be considered a crime if the person admits to of stores. So if you own a store, example would be stealing batteries and then coming back later with the claim of losing their receipt. They're able to do that, returning items totaling over $5,000. And there it is. These are the top 10. Buy 2 similar looking products and return the cheaper product in place of the expensive one. An amount of likes will be announced as the winner, so TVs. But the criminals get around this home project of theirs and then returning them as soon as they're finished, or eating half of their meal at McDonald's and purchasing it with the intentions to eventually return it. If they were to different product's barcode over the barcode of a cheaper item. This one is probably different before returning it. I imagine they could build an entire computer, one part at a time. Switch fraud. This is when people buy a new product and then return an identical broken product that they after. Just ask it in the comments. As for the contest I mentioned earlier, here's how. Whoever has the comment on exploiting the return policy as a makeshift savings account when they're strapped for cash. It also allows them to use another toaster from the shelf and returns it with the receipt they were given earlier. As far as I know, it's this video with the least, although he wasn't actually charged until months later after an investigation used security footage and stuff at a much lower price. Number 6, or renting. This is when people go to the store and buy something, TVs, and then on their fraud. This is when they convince a store's employee to help them commit any of the explaining the contest I'm having, so watch to the end for instructions on how to win. Today, we have a question next payday, returning it and buying a more.
Hey guys, what's up? It's totally Super Man 66. Today I'm coming out with a brand new video. We're gonna be reacting to a person who reacted to doing a dead video. And it was pretty good, man. People wanted me to react to it, so that's what we're gonna do today. Let's get right into the news and the video. Nice.